Today is 16 February 2026. This is Kamlakar Valjapalli Venkata, and today I want to give some info on that LGPI case 112 of 2020, which is taken up as sumato by the Andhra Pradesh High Court. The accused negligence is cause of accident has to compensate to the victim. That is the polluter pays principle of, as per the Supreme Court guidelines. The said factory has to fund or with their own revenues, they has to restore the environment which is polluted because of the pollution of the factory, compensate for loss of life and injuries. When the case is taken up by the court has to order the factory to deposit a subsequent amount before the district magistrate office to spend it on the restoration of environment and compensating to the victims under polluter pays principle, which is again adopted by the Supreme Court. But here in our case, there is no directions from the High Court. So whatever the government gave from the Chief Minister Relief Fund is treated as a financial assistance, which is clearly mentioned in the GO RT 449. Then additional to that, the emergency care is also provided by the government, and after discharge from that emergency care, they opted an option to set up a hospital in this area to treat the victims, part of restoration of compensation for plan for damage to health. But that funding for that hospital is not funded by the government, so the government daughter failed to provide treatment during pandemic time to that 582 individuals by setting up a hospital, data analysis of all the patients and monitoring of the 10,000 affected population. In this scenario, from 2020 onwards, victims are waiting for the payment from the factory, which is the mandate payments as per the SDRF and that relief fund CMRF which the government gave is not a substitute to the polluter pays, and also that government also submitted in court on 6 April 2021 that the materials will be deposited for compensating to the victims from the factory end. Here the absolute liabilities and constitutional and legal liabilities lies on the polluter. It's not a natural calamity to say that the government gave some sort of relief from the relief fund for rehabilitation, for rehabilitating the victims. So as per the norms of the SDRF, they opted to submit in the court also that the payment from the factory were pending. So in this scenario, victims who were assisted by the government financially, 25,000, 75,000 from the relief fund, they are suffering of severe financial losses because of medical treatment, and also there is a lot of property damage in the houses nearby the factory, which is also not assessed by the government. And the environment damage assessment report is also not submitted in the record of the court. So after all the filings are made, 147 of 2020, which is linked with the main case 112 of 2020, victims are waiting from years for subsequent orders from the court directing the LGPI, whose negligence is cause of loss of life and injuries, as to compensate to the victims. And also that orders from the court is not available on the High Court website, and also not ordered the LGPI to do anything to the victims. Recently the CSR to the affected families also not an additional payment to any one of the victims. It is not an additional payment. It came as a CSR, and they will fund that families affected 50,000 per family and 3,50,000 per family away from the court. And the High Court of Andhra Pradesh, they have taken up the case on sumato and never directed the factory to do anything to the victims, and also the government can't order the factory, and the case is taken up by the court is what the magistrate officers communicated to us. So all of us were suffering, and the victims also, they went to Korea with some assistance from that organizations, welfare organizations, international organizations also supporting them. And also the people died after that specific date were also suffering, because they also left with that assistance from the relief fund. Their families are suffering. In this scenario, they went to Korea and they arranged to meet the LG headquarters in September 2025 also. So what the Korean management is telling also the same. They are also waiting for the subsequent orders from the court. Jai Hind.